Hi guys, welcome back. In this video, we discuss about Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor is a Microsoft's central monitoring service that helps you to create, collect, analyze, act on, and visualize telemetry from Azure resources, on-premises systems, and applications. Think of Azure Monitor as the health plus performance plus security CCTV of your entire Azure environment. So why Azure Monitor is important? Detect issues before user. Azure Monitor notice. Improve performance and availability. So it will improve the performance and availability and reduce downtime. So it will reduce the downtime. So it will act before user, and so by using that, and so we can reduce downtime. So and also can improve performance and availability. Enable root cause analysis. So root cause analysis also we can enable in Azure monitoring. Support SLA, so service level agreement, audits, and compliance. So it will support all these things: service level agreement, audit, and compliance. Azure monitor architecture. So simple architecture like Azure monitor, Azure resources. From Azure resources, what are the Azure resources? VMs, Azure Kubernetes services, Azure App Service, Azure Storage. So it will take the metrics plus logs plus traces. So it goes to Azure Monitor. Later, Azure Monitor will generate alerts, dashboards, insights. So it will take the input, and it will generate the output like alerts, dashboards, insights. What Azure Monitor collects. So Azure Monitor, what it will collect. So first one is metrics. So metric is a numeric values collected at regular intervals. So what is metric? Metric is a numeric values collected at regular intervals, near real time, every 1 minute. So it is almost nearly real time. So every 1 minute it will collect. So lightweight and fast. Metrics are lightweight and fast. Example: CPU usage percentage, memory usage, disk IOPS, network in and out. So it will stored in Azure Monitor Metrics database. So so Azure Monitor has a separate database, and so it will store in Azure Monitor Metrics database. These all metrics information. Logs. So detailed records and events. Any detailed records are there and events are there. So stored in Log Analytics Workspace. So Log Analytics Workspace is a workspace which create in a Azure environment for storing logs. So queried using KQL, Crystal Query language. So these logs, for these logs, we use KQL. So that is Crystal Query language. It is separate. It is for Azure Monitor, and so this language is for Azure Monitor, and so it will create queries by using this language. And it is a simple language, like we know SQL, right? And so SQL queries. So same way it will create, but it is very simple. Examples: VM syslogs and Windows event logs. So this will query VM syslogs, Windows event logs, and also application logs, and also Azure activity logs, and also security logs. So why it collects these all logs information? It is best for deep troubleshooting and auditing. So we required any auditing. So we required a deep troubleshooting. So for this purpose, this log information will be useful. So by using this log information, So we go to deep troubleshooting as well as auditing. So traces. So request level application telemetry. Whatever level we requested to Azure Monitor, so it will generate the application telemetry as per that. Shows end-to-end transaction flow. So application related, what is the end-to-end from beginning to ending? What is the transaction flow? So it will shows collected using application insights. So application by using application insights, it will collect traces. Okay, and so this Azure Monitor will we integrate with Azure Monitor application insights, and so by using application insights, it will collect all these things. And key components of Azure Monitor: Log Analytics Workspace. So in the Azure Monitor, what are the key components? Log Analytics Workspace. So it is for storing logs and all. We create a Log Analytics Workspace. So behind Log Analytics Workspace, Azure Storage will be there. But uh, we create one storage space on Azure. So that Log Analytics Workspace only we can see, and so behind Azure Storage we can't see when we create it. And it is a central log repository. So for central log storing, and so for that we use this, and this is a it's like a repository. And so for Azure entire Azure Monitor logs we have to store, right? And so for that we use Log Analytics Workspace. It is a central log repository, uses KQL queries. So it uses KQL queries, Kusto query language queries, sample KQL. So KQL one you can have doubt, right? What is the KQL and how it will be like? So it is a sample KQL query, and Azure activity where operation name is called create or update virtual machine. This is a simple KQL query. So there are many KQL queries, and so actually in Azure Monitor it is already integrated, and so there you can input the command. So no need to remember, and so if you open Azure Monitoring and KQL, go to KQL queries, and so there you can input these type of queries, and so it will generate the output. So simple KQL queries, Azure activity, where operation in the Azure activity, what we are searching, where operation name is called create or update virtual machine. So simple. So KQL queries will be like this only. So the more we are giving filter, and so the more exact output we are getting. Application insights. So application performance monitoring APM. Uh, so so application insights. I'll use application performance monitoring APM used for app latency, failures, dependency tracking, live metrics. So it is used for app latency. Any app latencies are there, failures are there, dependency tracking, and live metrics. So how application is performing, what are the workflows it is getting, and so any failures, anything. So that all it will application insights. It is application insight help for all these things. Supports. So it supports .NET, Java, Node.js, Python, and so on. So application we when we creating application we use all programming languages .NET or Java or Node.js, Python. So it supports all these things. So when we create application with all this kind of programming languages, so from that application it will so application take the all this information. So it supports all these programming languages. Alerts. So alert to trigger action when conditions are met. So what are the alert mean? Uh, it triggers actions when conditions are met. So actions. What are the actions it perform? So email send and SMS send and ITSM. So ITSM, Information Technology Service Management. So we use service now, right? So and also kind of tools, service management tools. So it triggers actions. Action means it triggers incident. So webhook and Azure function. So logic app. So when we give the conditions, so as per that it will trigger the alert to all these things: email, SMS, ITSM, webhook, Azure function, logic app. So type. So what are the alert type? Metric alert. Metric alert, yeah, categorize for VMs and also network and disks and yeah, VM network disk. Uh, one more will be there. Uh, just go back and first slide. Memory. Yeah, CPU, memory, disk IOPS, network to input out. All this information comes under the metric alerts. So example, for CPU example, if CPU is greater than 80%, so metric alert will be generated. A kind of memory also, and also storage and network. So as per our configuration inputs, whatever inputs we give to my Azure Monitor, so based on that, so metric alert works. Log alert. So log alert, how it works? Suppose VM stopped unexpectedly. So log alert, it will generate one log, and so that will trigger the alert. Activity log alert. Resource deleted. If resource is deleted, so activity log alert will be generated. Smart alert. Anomaly detected. Any malware or any phishing activity happens, so smart alert will trigger the alert. In the dashboards and workbooks. So for visual monitoring, so dashboard and workbooks we use for visual monitoring and combines metrics, logs, and text. Use cases: NOC dashboards, management reports, SLA tracking. For all this, we use dashboards and workbooks. Insights. So what are the insights we can monitor? Insight type, VM insights. So VM insights used for VM performance and dependencies. Container insights. So container insights used for AKS monitoring, Azure Kubernetes Service monitoring. Application insights used for app monitoring. Network insights used for network health. So this kind of insights we can configure in Azure Monitor. Security and governance monitoring. So security and it monitors security and governance also. So if we integrate Azure Monitor plus Defender plus Sentinel, so it will collect all security logs, detect threats also. So SIEM SOAR integration. So it will Sentinel, in Sentinel we already discussed SIEM and SOAR. So it add Sentinel add to Azure Monitor So it will integrate SIM and SOR also. Azure Monitor for different services. So Azure Monitor how works for different services. So first one is virtual machines. So it will monitor CPU, memory, disk, network, boot diagnostics also it monitors, and guest OS logs. So it monitor guest OS logs also. And for AKS services, AKS, it monitors node health. So it contains multiple nodes. So it monitor node health also and pod performance. So multiple containers create as a pod, and so it monitor pod performance also. So container logs. So container how how container is performing, and those logs also it monitor. So app services. So request count in the app services, request count also monitor, and response time. So what is the response time for that request, and that also it monitors, and exceptions, any exceptions are there. So those all it will monitor. And these are main core, and so yeah, we can monitor other services also, websites and all. So that also we can monitor. So as per our input configuration, so it will monitor those all things. Pricing. So Azure, come to Azure Monitor pricing. So metrics mostly free, logs charged for GB ingested. So yeah, these logs, how much data we are storing in log analytics workspace, based on that it will charge. And retention, extra cost beyond free period. So what is the retention? It is extra cost beyond free period. So free period is ended, so it will charge extra. And alerts, minor cost per rule execution. So in the alerts, and so whenever we execute rule, so it charges a little, and compared to logs it charge very less only. So rule execution, it charges only less only. Cost control tip: set log retention wisely. So if you want to reduce cost in Azure Monitor, so we have to configure log retention effectively. So suppose you store more logs and it will charge more. You store less logs and it charges less only. So that's why we have to set the retention. So how long logs should be stored in the log analytics database, sorry, storage. So that you have to configure. So that you have to set. So suppose I don't want old logs, 6 months old logs. So if you set like that, so old after 6 months it should be deleted. So it will charge less only, and old logs won't be stored unnecessarily, and it will. So we can reduce cost by doing that. And the real world example scenario, suppose CP spikes, application slow. So in that case, it monitor, and so Azure Monitor flow is like a metric alert fires. So it CPU is command metric, right? And so whenever CPU is greater than 80%, so it fires the alert. Email sent to DevOps team. So email sent to whichever mail ID we give, whether we give DevOps mail ID, or we give admin mail ID. We can give any DL. distributed list of mail ID. So whichever mail ID we configure in Azure Monitor, it will send a mail to that mail. And the log analytics shows long running SQL queries. So what log analytics shows is any long running SQL queries are there. So it will show the information. App Insight shows dependency latency. So what App Insight shows is application dependency is there, any latency is there. So those all it will shows. So after it shows and trigger alert, so we apply the fix, right? So then CPU will come normalize. Okay, suppose CPU is consuming more, and one long running query is there, it is consuming more CPU. So we just check whether it is required or not. We clear it, and so that is a fix. And once it is fixed, again CPU will be normalized. So Azure Monitor will help all these things. So fix and all just administrators and that service owners do, and so only Azure Monitor is, it will notify to everyone, whichever we configure mail IDs and whatever way we configure. So it will trigger alert to as per that configuration. Azure Monitor versus other tools. So there are some in this table there are some differences between Azure Monitor and other tools. So tool is Azure Monitor for it is platform monitoring. So platform means Azure platform or on-premises or Hyper-V or VMware, other cloud environment. So Azure Monitor will monitor everything, whichever whichever way we configured. And application insights. So application insight tool, app performance only, like how application is working. So how it is performing, and uh, what is the insights of application. So application insights will handle. Azure Sentinel. So this is also separate tool, and so it is used for SIM. We already created a video on Azure Sentinel. So if you haven't watched, just go to Azure Sentinel video and watch it. So we discussed SIEM and SOAR in Azure Sentinel. It is a SIEM tool, so it monitors events management and incident management and event management in Azure environment. So it is a security tool. So that is about Azure Sentinel. And Azure Defender. It is used for threat protection. So this is also Azure Security Center video we have done. Just if you haven't watched it, just go to that video and watch it. So Azure Defender is for threat protection. So if you add Azure Sentinel, Azure Defender to Azure Monitor, so it will effectively work. It will monitor security events also, and also threat protection also it will monitor. Interview point of view, you have to explore difference between metrics and logs, and what are the difference between metrics and logs. What is Crystal query language? How does application insights work? So these all things we have to just explore. Metric alert, metric alert versus log alert. What is the difference between metric alert versus log alert? We already discussed, right? What are the metrics and what are the log alerts? So these all you have to explore when you are going to interview. And also difference between Azure Monitor versus Azure Sentinel. So these are two tools. One is for monitoring, another one is for security incident management. So these also you have to explore when you are going to interview. So that's all about Azure Monitor. Thank you.